snow comes down. Everything is new, different. I found you, hidden in plain sight. Why'd it take so long? Write it on a piece of paper, honey. Put it in my coat before I go. Let me in. Everything starts at your skin. So new. Your love's always finding me out. Who am I kidding? If all my defenses come down, ah, baby, will you lay it all on me now? Lay it all on me now. 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 Love's always finding me out. Who am I kidding? For my defenses come down. Ah, baby, baby, will you lay it all on me now? Lay it all on me now. 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 Right now I need an escape from this gravity that holds me down. We've gotta leave it a day, 'cause insanity is all around. 'Cause we're works of art, we're falling stars, we're fire waiting for a spark. Yeah, we're gonna be miles up. No one ever gonna come down. No one ever gonna come down. Yeah, we're gonna be miles up. No one ever gonna come down. It's getting harder to breathe in this atmosphere from these dizzy heights. With you closer to me, we can disappear in this endless night. 'Cause we're works of art, we're falling stars, we're fire waiting for a spark. Yeah, we're gonna be miles up. No one ever gonna come down. No one ever gonna come down. Yeah, we're gonna be miles up. No one ever gonna touch the ground. No one ever gonna touch the ground. If you follow me in this mystery, we can swim inside these clouds. Yeah, we're gonna be miles up. No one ever gonna come down. We're not giving up, giving up. We're so high. Won't you look at us, look at us tonight? Yeah, we're gonna be miles up. No one ever gonna come down. No one ever gonna come down. Yeah, we're gonna be miles up. No one ever gonna touch the ground. No one ever gonna touch the ground. If you follow me in this mystery, we can swim inside these clouds. Yeah, we're gonna be miles up.
three. Uh-huh. Yo, yo. I wake up in the morning at 6 o'clock. They say there may be rain, but the sun is hot. I wish I had some time just to kill today. And I wish I had a dime for every bill I got to pay. Some days you lose, you win, and the water's as high as the times you're in. So I jump back in where I learned to swim. Try to keep my head above it the best I can.
San Diego draws millions of people to visit, work, and live within the city. But the economy and quality of life that San Diegans enjoy depends on a reliable supply of water. In an average year, San Diego receives only 10 inches of rain. A lack of local drinking water sources is a long-term challenge. The city imports 85% of its water supply from the Colorado River and Northern California. With limited local control over its water supply, San Diego is vulnerable to rising imported water costs from its wholesalers, recurring droughts, climate change, and natural disasters. For these reasons and more, the city is implementing Pure Water San Diego. It is a phased, multi-year program that will provide 1/3 of San Diego's water supply locally by 2035 using proven water purification technology. San Diego's existing water supply system is primarily a single-use system. Imported and local water supplies are stored in the city's reservoirs. The water is cleaned at a drinking water treatment plant before it's distributed to homes and businesses. The majority of our wastewater is sent to the Point Loma Wastewater Treatment Plant, where it is cleaned and discharged to the ocean. Our remaining wastewater is recycled at our 2 water reclamation plants and used for irrigation and industrial purposes. The Pure Water program will complete the cycle. It will purify the recycled water produced at the water reclamation plant using proven technology so it can be added to the city's drinking water supply. When the Pure Water program is implemented, the purified water will be blended with imported and local water supplies in local reservoirs. It will also be cleaned again at local drinking water treatment plants before it becomes part of our drinking water supply. To confirm the safety and feasibility of the water purification process, the city has been operating a 1 million gallon per day demonstration pure water facility since June 2011. The city's water purification process includes 5 steps that work together to protect public health. The first step of the purification process is called ozonation. Ozone gas is infused into the recycled water, and the water travels through a long series of pipes called the ozone contactor. The ozone destroys microorganisms and reacts with and breaks down contaminants in the water. The ozone is consumed and is converted into oxygen prior to the next step. Next, the water goes through biological activated carbon filters. The filters are filled with helpful bacteria which thrive in the presence of oxygen. The bacteria on the filters consume 30 to 50% of anything that is living or was living. The next step is membrane filtration. The membranes filter out particles, viruses, and bacteria in the water. Only water, salts, and other very small molecules can pass through the membrane pores and down the center of the straws. Imagine, these pores are 300 times narrower than a human hair. Next, the water goes through reverse osmosis. Using high-pressure pumps, water molecules are forced through spirally wound membranes. Reverse osmosis filters out additional materials, even those that are 50,000 times smaller than the smallest bacteria and viruses. Water is last sent through a process called ultraviolet disinfection. In these units, the power of ultraviolet light, similar to extremely concentrated sunlight, penetrates the water and destroys the DNA of any microbes and viruses that may be present. At the same time, advanced oxidation generates powerful reactive molecules that destroy any trace contaminants that might remain in the water. The result of this multi-barrier process is purified water. To date, more than 28,000 lab tests have confirmed that the purified water produced meets or exceeds all drinking water standards. The Pure Water program will be implemented in 3 phases over a 20-year period. Phase 1 includes the construction of the North City Pure Water Facility on Eastgate Mall, just north of Miramar Road. Water produced at this facility will be stored in Miramar Reservoir and cleaned again at the Miramar Drinking Water Plant before it's distributed to the public. The North City facility will be operational by 2021 and produce 30 million gallons of water per day. Subsequent phases will include the construction of 2 additional pure water facilities. One will be centrally located near the airport on Harbor Drive. Water produced here will be sent to either Lake Murray or San Vicente Reservoir and cleaned at the Alvarado Drinking Water Plant. An additional pure water facility will be located in the South Bay. This water will be stored in Lower Otay Reservoir and cleaned again at the Otay Drinking Water Plant. The facilities in the Central Area and South Bay will be operational by 2035 and produce 53 million gallons of water per day. When completed, the Pure Water program will produce a total of 83 million gallons of water per day that will be distributed throughout the city of San Diego. That is equivalent to 1/3 of San Diego's future water needs. By investing in the Pure Water program, we can ensure a safe, reliable, and sustainable water supply for generations to come. To learn more about Pure Water San Diego, visit purewatersd.org.
You're watching City TV 24, your access to City Hall.
Well, I don't mind sleeping alone. If it means I don't have to play your crazy game no more. You're the most precious thing I've ever seen. But I ain't gonna let it slide when you're mean to me. I know the love that I deserve, and I hope you find yourself before I find somebody else to be my love. I hope you find yourself before I find somebody else to be my love. Well, you tell me things I want to hear. You want me near, and I know you feel me leaving you. You think that I won't say goodbye, but baby, I ain't standing by while you stretch the truth. I know the love that I deserve. I said I hope you find yourself before I find somebody else to be my love. I said I hope.
You're watching City TV 24, your access to City Hall.
Good afternoon. I will now call the City Council meeting of Monday, September the 18th, 2017 to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Bree, Councilmember Zapp, Councilmember Ward, Council President Pro Tem Kersey, Councilmember Kate, Councilmember Sherman, Councilmember Alvarez, Councilmember Gomez, Council President Cole.
Here, we will begin this afternoon with the invocation by City Clerk Malin, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Zapp.
Please stand for our invocation. Grant those who hold office in this city the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is there any mayor's, council, city attorney, independent budget analyst, or city clerk comment? Seeing none. Before we proceed with the agenda, I understand staff is requesting that item 201, Town and Country, be returned to staff. Would city staff like to make any additional comments on this issue?
Marshall Anderson, Mayor's Office. We will attempt to renotice for October 17th, and we'll work with your office in selecting a date.
Thank you. October the 17th. Thank you. Now we'll move on to the proclamations. The following proclamations will be heard at this meeting, provided the council first suspends the rules of council in accordance with Rule 2.12 to allow for proclamations to be heard on a Monday. The motion to suspend the rules requires a 2/3 vote. Is there a motion? Have a motion by Councilmember Kate. Second. We have a second by Councilmember Alvarez. Please vote. Clerk, please call the roll.
And that passes unanimously.
We will now proceed with the proclamations.
Yes, item 20 is Mayor Faulkner and Councilmember Kate proclaiming September 2017 to be National Preparedness Month in the city of San Diego.
Good afternoon, Council President Cole and colleagues. It's an honor to be here on behalf of the mayor and the council to recognize the month of September as National Preparedness Month. And we have with us today John Valencia from the Office of Homeland Security, Chief Fennessy from our Fire Rescue Department, as well as command staff from the police departments, Charlene Zettel, the interim CEO of the American Red Cross for San Diego, join us here today to proclaim this month as National Preparedness Month. With proper preparation and training in place, the loss of life and property damage can be reduced after a major emergency. the City of San Diego's Office of Homeland Security, the Fire Rescue Department, our police departments, and local organizations like the Red Cross all work to ensure that San Diegans are ready in the event of a disaster. The Office of Homeland Security has developed emergency and continuity plans for all city departments to ensure the city can provide services to its citizens in the event of a disaster. And the department has also partnered with READY, a national public service campaign, and Prepare San Diego with the Red Cross to ensure San Diegans have a plan in place in case of an emergency. So on behalf of the City of San Diego, I'm honored to thank all of the first responders that work tirelessly, no matter what the disaster or emergency is, to make sure San Diegans are safe. So we have our proclamation here, which says, "Be it resolved by the City of San Diego that this council, for and on behalf of the people of San Diego, does hereby proclaim the month of September 2017 as National Preparedness Month in the City of San Diego."
Great. Thanks.
Yeah,
Oh, great. Council President, City Council, staff, thanks everyone. John Valencia, Executive Director for the City's Office of Homeland Security. I'd just like to say what a privilege it is for me, and I know all my staff as well, to work with the professionals we have throughout the city, throughout the county as well, and the leaders here in City Hall, in the Mayor's Office, and City Council, and community leaders as well throughout the city and the region. It's such a privilege every day to come to work and do what we do. Thank you for your support, and it's wonderful that we're recognizing September. Great. Have a good day. Yep.
Thank you very much, Charlene Zettel, Interim CEO, Red Cross. I want to thank the mayor, the council for having this proclamation to remind us that we always need to work together to protect the citizens of San Diego. While the local Red Cross has sent over 90 people to respond and assist in Hurricanes Irma and Harvey, we still remain at the ready, thanks to our partners, including your city fire, to host a shelter here to accommodate 1,500 people here in San Diego within 4 hours, opening a shelter if needed. So thank you very much for supporting that to Prepare San Diego and that readiness. Thank you very much, Councilmember Kate.
Thank you very much, Brian Fennessy, Fire Chief. This morning we addressed preparedness and response at PSNLN, and what we highlighted was not only how prepared we are in terms of response, but preparation of the community. And there is nothing more important than the community being prepared for the next disaster, whether that's a wildland fire, an earthquake, you name the type of disaster. And I'm here to tell you, having been here for many, many years, that we are far more prepared than we've ever been. A lot of thanks to John Valencia and the Office of Homeland Security, the Red Cross, all the nonprofits that contribute, and thanks to you all for all of your support. We've learned some tough lessons over the years from some very large disasters, and we truly did learn. We're far more prepared, and it's a pleasure to be here in front of you and to accept this proclamation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. Thanks again. Great. Wonderful. Wonderful, sir. Thanks again. Have a good day.
Item 21 is Councilmember Ward and Councilmember Gomez proclaiming September 21st, 2017 to be World Gratitude Day in the City of San Diego.
Thank you, Council President and colleagues. So I'm really pleased to be here this morning to help, along with my colleague, Councilmember Gomez, co-present this proclamation in honor of World Gratitude Day. World Gratitude Day is going to be recognized this Thursday, September 21st, and we have a couple of very important San Diegans here to talk about why this is an important thing to honor. I'm going to welcome up Steph Gross, Chair of the Human Relations Commission, followed by Terry Josiah from the organization Music Life Change to accept this proclamation and share your thoughts.
Thank you. Good morning, City Council, Councilmember Cole, Council President Cole, Ward, and Gomez. I'd like to thank you all for recognizing this day. About 18 months ago, while visiting over in Sereno Valley, I met the visionary Terry Josiah. And one thing that stuck with me after I met him was we choose our attitude every day when we wake up. We make that conscious decision on how we want to approach the day. And to give gratitude and thanks and appreciation for everything we do, that's the right mentality to go into the day. And I won't take any more of your time. I just wanted to say thank you for this proclamation and helping us remember that gratitude is the foundation and the example that we set for everyone. Terry Josiah.
Thank you, City Council. It's extremely incredible to be up here. Thank you so much for proclaiming this day. Thank you, Steph Gross from the HRC. I want to do everything that I can to help remind people that gratitude is key. It is literally the virtue that sustains the temperature of our happiness. It's the actual key. We're taught when we're young, just as Americans, our unalienable rights is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But I don't believe that happiness should be a pursuit. We should live in it all the time. At least we have the ability to do that. Not all of us do. So to be able to proclaim this day as World Gratitude Day as a staple in our city, in the city of San Diego and the districts that you all represent, is extremely incredible because it gives the city hope that no matter what, we can always find that happiness. It's always with us. It's always inside of us. And as long as we know that, then we could turn any day into a beautiful day. We could dance in the rain if it's raining, even though it doesn't rain that much in San Diego. But just thank you again. I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's so incredible to be able to have this day proclaimed and to be here with everybody that showed up and is representing. I have my fraternity brothers from the only fraternity that matters, Kappa Alpha Psi. I have my Lady Gratitude with me, and I couldn't do this without her. So thank you, Kristen, as well. And again, thank you, Steph, and thank you, you all.
Thank you, and thank you for that reminder of reminding us to be in touch with our feelings, with being happy and grateful. Let's not just be reminded. Let's live it, right? So, and now it is my honor and pleasure to say, be it proclaimed by the Council of the City of San Diego that this council, for and on behalf of the people of San Diego, do hereby proclaim September 21st, 2017 to be World Gratitude Day in the City of San Diego. Congratulations.
Councilmember Zapp, did you like to make some?
I was just going to say that I love his attitude, and he should be an ambassador for San Diego. And thank you for coming, and I really appreciate your coming today and expressing those feelings. Just real quick, I know this is going to sound really totally dorky, but last night I was driving home, I was visiting my dad, and I couldn't get a Dionne Warwick song out of my head, and I sang it in my car over and over and over, all the way to Temecula, I think, from Palm Springs, and it was, I just looked it up just to make sure it was right, but it was Dionne Warwick, and what the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Zapp. Didn't know you could blow like that. All right. Are there any public speakers on the proclamations?
Yes, we have two speakers. Bob Kazuski, please come forward. He's in opposition. You'll be followed by Martha Welch, who's in favor. Mr. Kazuski, you submitted slips on both 20 and 21. You could have 6 minutes. How much time do you need?
I'll just take a few seconds. I again would just like to state that the public should have a right to speak before proclamations are awarded. Thank you.
Thank you. Martha Welch, you're in favor. Please come forward. And that was on item 20.
Martha, I'm in favor of number 20, but I don't like what Robert Rules and we're not here right now. Limited protocol, they give us radios that have solar or cramp. Like that. I think you should do that same thing with this national program, because if it works all the time. You can crank it up or solar. Why don't you do that? Because it's a good radio, because you can put it in your window and charge it up. If it's dark, you can crank it up and have a radio. If something happens, a fire or something like that, that's what you should do in the city, not a plaque or something. I think you should do something else so solid.
Thank you. That concludes the public speakers on the proclamations, and since no member of the legislative body pulled them for discussion, they now stand approved by unanimous consent.
Thank you. We'll now take up the discussion agenda. Clerk, please introduce item 200.
Item 200, Legacy International Center, project number 332401. This item is not subject to the mayor's veto. Morris Dye, Development Project Manager 1, Development Services Department, is listed as staff. We do have quite a number of speakers, both in favor and in opposition. Just so folks can start preparing their comments, the time will be limited to a minute and a half per person. Thank you.
And how much time would you like for your presentation? 5 minutes? Thank you.
Good afternoon, President Cole, members of the council. My name is Morris Dye. I'm the Development Project Manager for the Legacy International Center. With me is Nancy Graham from the Long Range Planning Department, and other staff are here as well. So the project before you is the Legacy International Center, as I mentioned. It's located at 875 Hotel Circle South. It's on an 18-acre parcel. The project would demolish the existing Mission Valley Resort complex. It would construct a mixed-use religious tourism development with religious, lodging, admin, and office and recreational commercial uses in 5 buildings, one of which is a parking structure. The approvals before you today that we're requesting is the certification of the EIR and the MMRP associated with it, an amendment to the general plan, the community plan, and the specific plan, a rezone, a vesting tentative map, a site development permit, a conditional use permit, and a plan development permit. Project's located in the Mission Valley Community Planning Area. The current zoning is MVPD, MV, SP, and SP is for the specific plan, and the proposal is to rezone to the commercial visitor. Key areas are, as I mentioned, it's in the Mission Valley Plan District and the Atlas Specific Plan. This is where the project is located. It is west of 163, just south of Interstate 8, east of I-5. It's an aerial view of the project site next to the freeway. You may be familiar with the 2 hook ramps that are right immediately in front of the property onto the freeway. Quickly go through a few slides that show the surrounding area. Project site, aerial looking south. Looking west on Hotel Circle. This is the current development that's there today. It's an existing 202-room hotel with a restaurant and a liquor store. It's within the Atlas Specific Plan, as I mentioned. It's in the Mission Valley Plan District in the Specific Plan Zone. And again, the rezone proposal to commercial visitor. There will be 5 buildings on the site that are proposed, about a 41,000 square foot Legacy Welcome Center, a pavilion that includes a restaurant, shops, theater, and offices. The Legacy Village has a 127-room hotel, about 88,000 square feet, a 5-level parking garage with 524 spaces, and a souk building, which is an outdoor plaza, about 8,000 square feet. This is a site plan that's in your staff report that shows the buildings I just mentioned. And again, the approvals, The community plan amendment would remove the project site from the Atlas specific plan that is described, the reason for that in your staff report. Would rezone the project to the commercial visitor. The vesting tentative map would subdivide the project into 5 commercial condominium units, and it would also vacate the easements that are on the site that need to be vacated. The site development permits required due to the proximity to environmentally sensitive lands. The conditional use permit is required for a 500-seat theater. It's that size requires the conditional use permit. And there are 4 retaining walls that are over height, needing a PDP, plan development permit, to approve the deviations. There are no unmitigated traffic impacts associated with this project. The Atlas specific plan coordinates 7 Atlas-owned properties. The Atlas Group filed bankruptcy, and now there are 7 owners. As a result of that 7 different ownerships, the Atlas specific plan is no longer feasible, and therefore the applicant is requesting removal from the Atlas specific plan. The project is consistent with the intensity in looking at the plan analysis. 221 trips is well below. The consistency with the Mission Valley Community Plan, it relates to the development and the adjacent natural features. Those are the existing properties to the east and west and to the hillside to the south. Within the previous development footprint is where the project is located. It is not expanding that, and therefore it preserves the existing hillsides. And the building placements as they're proposed provide 2 view corridors, which we can look at later. As I mentioned, there are retaining walls. One is up to 17.5 feet. It is behind the hotel, so it's not visible from Hotel Circle. Grading would be reduced and views are not blocked, or these walls are behind the hotel. There's an exception to the height limit of 40 feet. 25 feet is allowed if the standards are met. The project is proposing that 25 feet deviation. It preserves the natural hillsides. The natural hillsides would be recontoured. The buildings provide greater than 30 feet view corridors. One is 72, one is 119. I just need another minute or 2, I think. The building mass and the height progression is maintained, and the architecture and the sustainable design support the exception. This is just some views of the proposed project, landscape plan. And finally, on September 7, 2016, the Mission Valley Community Planning Group voted 14-0 to recommend approval of the project with no conditions. And on June 8, 2017, the Planning Commission voted 6-0 to recommend approval of the project with conditions, and those are listed there. I think they're in your staff report as well. So finally, staff is recommending that you certify the environmental impact report and adopt the mitigation monitoring reporting program, approve the general plan, Mission Valley Community Plan, Atlas specific plan amendments, and adopt the rezone ordinance, approve the vesting tentative map and the site development permit, conditional use permit, and plan development permit with the numbers that are described on the screen. That concludes staff's report, and we have staff here as well as the applicant with consultants to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And I understand the city attorney would like to make some comments.
Thank you. As a reminder to the council and the public, pursuant to planning and zoning law, the council's decision must be based on land use considerations, and the basis for the decision should be clearly articulated and supported by evidence in the record. This office cautions that evidence unrelated to land use considerations, such as the identity of the applicant or the tax status of the property, should not be considered. In addition, the item before you is proposed by a religious institution, although aspects include commercial development. The Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act, RLUIPA, constrains the city's actions involving land use matters by religious institutions for religious purposes.
Thank you. We'll now take public testimony. Clerk, please proceed.
Yes, we'll begin with speakers in opposition. And again, speakers will have 1 minute and 30 seconds apiece to give you time to start formulating your thoughts. Given the large number of speakers, our first speaker in opposition is Rebecca Hook-Held, who has time seated by Benjamin Cartwright, Rick Cervantes, and Sarah Merck Benitez for a total of 6 minutes. You'll be followed by Elizabeth Leventhal, followed by Neil Ortigera.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Rebecca Hook-Held, here on behalf of the San Diego LGBT Community Center to ask you to vote no on the Legacy International project. The Legacy International project is bad for our community, bad for the traffic impacts in Mission Valley and the surrounding areas, and a bad deal for San Diego. Our opposition to this project is based on concerns of the serious traffic and quality of life impacts that this project would create. Proposed to be located just north of Hillcrest and Mission Hills, near the intersection of Hotel Circle South and Bachman Place, just down the hill from UC San Diego Medical Center and Scripps Mercy Hospital, this 18-acre, 300,000 square foot project is planned to be built in an area that is already subjected to heavy traffic congestion. As we saw this past Thursday evening, when most of San Diego was caught in a massive traffic jam, the slightest impact to this already congested area has the ability to ripple high traffic delays on freeways throughout the region and nearby neighborhood streets. Located less than a mile north of UC San Diego Medical Center and Scripps Mercy Hospital, any additional traffic on Hotel Circle South or Bachman Place would present life-threatening delays, preventing emergency vehicles from traveling with ease to and from the medical centers. The Legacy Center has promoted in interviews and on their website that this facility would bring up to 400,000 visitors a year. That's 3 times the size of Comic-Con. To say that this project would not have any contribute any additional traffic impacts is impossible to conceive. With all of these traffic and quality of life impacts, we urge the council to vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth Leventhal will be the next speaker. You'll have a minute and a half. Ms. Leventhal will be followed by Neil Ortiguera, followed by Vernita Gutierrez, followed by John Kitchen.
Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Leventhal, and I'm here today to express my opposition to this project. As a member of the Mission Valley Planning Group who sat through 10 presentations on this project before a final vote was ever taken, I believe it was passed by that body more out of fatigue and manipulation than out of enthusiasm or true support, and will only serve to make San Diego an object of ridicule and shame. Underneath the presentations you saw and read is a dubious project being pushed by a shady organization to enrich and elevate an unsavory figure with no local neighborhood ties or accomplishments over the needs and real concerns of the Mission Valley community. Mr. Cirillo himself is known for peddling in hate, lies, and distortions that have gotten him banned from operating in other countries, brought out a large and vocal opposition among key communities, and put the most vulnerable members of our society at risk for extortion. He has no record of achievement worth heralding outside of being a dilapidated property, buying a dilapidated property out of foreclosure, and preying upon the elderly, disabled, and terminally ill. Opposition of this agenda item is not about his or his ministry's religious beliefs versus their well-documented actions, reputation, and history. A vote for this project is a public embrace of all those things. I ask you to stand on the side of integrity by voting no on this unwanted, controversial, non-legacy center. Thank you.
Thank you. Neil Ortiguera, followed by Vernita Gutierrez, followed by John Kitchen, followed by William Rodriguez Kennedy.
Good afternoon, City Council. I'm Neil Ortiguera. I'm here in opposition to the Legacy Center as someone who works in Mission Valley, and we and the rest of the region saw firsthand last week just how increased traffic in the area impacts traffic for the entire region. Whether a sinkhole or an accident or just increased traffic, it creates a chain reaction backing people up in the Point Loma, Claremont, all the way down Harbor Drive to the Convention Center. Scripps Mercy Hospital and UCSD Medical Center happen to be the main trauma centers for the entire region south of the 8. The Legacy Center self-promotes that it will draw up to 400,000 visitors a year, so we can imagine the backup that will cause on Bachman, and with Bachman out of the picture, we can imagine the traffic on the 163 and Washington. For these reasons, I urge you to vote no on the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Vernita Gutierrez will be followed by John Kitchen, followed by William Rodriguez Kennedy. And please come forward when your name is called. There are seats in the front for speakers.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the City Council. I'm here to register my opposition to the Legacy International Center. The impact on traffic, on air quality in an area like Mission Valley that's already greatly impacted by several large-scale development projects will only add to the congestion. The on and off ramps on Hotel Circle South already get really backlogged, and so any additional traffic will only add to that congestion as well. It's also a safety issue with access to the UCSD Medical Center via Bachman Place. It would also be could also be negatively impacted, and it could profoundly have a negative impact on the quality of life in the surrounding residential neighborhoods. I'm urging that the City Council reverse the trend of rubber stamping these large-scale projects without adequate public input, particularly in light of a lack of transparency during this whole planning process. So I'm urging you to vote no on the Legacy International Center.
Thank you. John Kitchen. You'll be followed by William Rodriguez Kennedy.
Thank you. The premise of a new religious resort in College here is preposterous. San Diegans are far too Gnostic to entertain this sort of a project. People are way less stupid than they used to be. The last thing San Diego needs is more religious propaganda in a town where most poor folks know that religion is a lot of lies to control people and make money off them as slaves. I urge you to vote no on this issue, and I'm sorry, but somebody had to say this. This would make great affordable housing.
William Rodriguez Kennedy.
Thank you, Council President, Council members. My name is Will Rodriguez Kennedy. I'm president of the San Diego Democrats for Equality, which is San Diego's largest Democratic club. And I'm hoping that the council will vote no on this project today. Just looking at the environmental impacts or the traffic impacts, I bet if you ask anyone who's lived in Mission Valley, you're going to find out that if you ask them whether or not they want a project that wants more traffic in that area, they're going to say no. And because of the confluence of the different highways that are in the area, that traffic and that environmental quality affects everyone from the north of San Diego, from Rancho Bernardo, all the way down to San Ysidro, and our commutes to work and how we live every day. So I do hope that the council will vote down this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. In addition, William Pontius, Emily Bonner, Jeff Alexander, and Marlene Lara also submitted speaker slips in opposition but did not wish to speak. We'll now turn to the in favor speakers. We begin with an organized presentation. Vincent Mudd, Jim Penner, and Christopher Morrow all have time seated by Lena Assad, Sammy Khoury, David Bali, Lynn Hodge, Greg Shields, Brian Garrett, Darnan DeMars, and Stephanie Whitmore for a total of 15 minutes.
Ready? Members of the council, my name is Jim Penner. I'm the executive director of the Legacy International Center. Would like to thank you for the opportunity to bring this project before you today. I've been asked many times what the Legacy International Center is. The center combines all the elements already found in Mission Valley, colleges, restaurants, theaters, hotels, into a very unique faith-based facility. World-class resort hotel, restaurant, spa, gardens, resort retail, event center, and yes, a ministry training center. We, as World Evangelism, for the past 60 years, have been literally training ministers around the world. That's what Dr. Cirillo does. He spends 95% of his time overseas. The International Center in our name has a unique backstory. Dr. Cirillo came to San Diego in 1959, and he moved at a time when he was already traveling to as many as 30 nations a year, which he does to this day. And upon each return home, it still amazes him, even with all the world's technology, how little those in America know about the nations of the world. We know headlines in newspapers. We do not know people. We do not know the people. The Legacy International Welcome Center will take visitors beyond headlines and celebrate the cultures of the world. In the Motion Seat Theater being created by former Disney Imagineers, you will literally soar over Israel. Through technologically cutting-edge exhibits, you will experience the wonderful people from Africa to Indonesia to South America and beyond. Visitors will learn about their cultures, their faith, and the things we share in common, our shared hopes, shared struggles, and our shared dreams. In 2011, we purchased the Mission Valley Resort out of foreclosure and began working closely with city staff and with Morris Dye, learning this new world called CEQA, which was completely a foreign territory to us. And like any project, we went through a lot of early designs. But then we brought on board Carrier Johnson, my friend Vince Mudd, and their incredible design solutions brought unanimous recommendations from the Mission Valley Planning Group, from their design advisory subcommittee on the Mission Valley Planning Group, voted unanimously for the project, and the City of San Diego Planning Commission voted unanimously for the project. So I'm also to say we brought on board Clark Construction, who built Petco Park and built the Naval Hospital at Pendleton. And their team has already told me that 82% of the labor that will be used to build this $131 million construction contract will be union labor. So I thought I'd pass that along. At this point, I'll turn this over to Vince Mudd.
Thank you, Jim. City Council President and Council, thank you for having us. And today we are going to ask and seek your wisdom on this project. If you'll refer to the slides, I'll go through them quickly, but I want to add a little personalization to this project. It's not just a building. It's not a alien spaceship that just landed on this project site. It's been designed to take what we see as the duality of historic and progressive strategies, as well as modern architecture that works with the idea of a static place like a building, but actually trying to create an environment where people move around. This is a site that's going to be welcoming to people in Mission Valley. As a matter of fact, it's going to have a park-like setting, unlike anything that you've seen in the Mission Valley area. One of the true mythical kind of concepts that you see in faith is that people come to faith in their own way. And we wanted to create a facility where anybody would feel comfortable coming to this facility. So Dr. Cirillo has given light to, I think, three very important words that we were drawn to. And those three words are love, peace, and forgiveness. So throughout the site, in about 22 languages, you'll see these words appear in every building on the entire site. Just some elements of the site, what you're going to see, you'll have an interactive museum, like one that we don't have in San Diego. This is an attraction. This is so people can come and discover people from all over the world and learn about them in this museum. I'll show you some slides on that. It'll have a very nice restaurant with retail that people will be able to buy goods from all over the world, 2 restaurants in the site, and then there'll be a very large performing arts center that seats 500 on the site, and of course a hotel. We were inspired that the most important element of any project should always be open space, not the buildings. So this project is designed around the concept of gardens and open spaces throughout the site, and the concept that you should be able to come here and just reflect whether or not you're coming to learn or whether you're coming just it's your lunch break or it's on Saturday and you just want a nice peaceful place to be in Mission Valley. There's also this element, the Souk Arcade that we have, which allows for a retail to be present, but this is not the kind of retail that would compete against the mall across the street, but this would be retail unique to different countries, and it's something that San Diego should be able to celebrate. Let's talk about the experience of place and the arrival. After you've entered the parking structure and you're walking towards the site, this is what you're going to see when you arrive at the property. And as you get closer to the front door, this is the way you're going to see a very grand and impressive entrance into the site. I talked about this interactive museum. You'll see this globe, which is a touchscreen globe on the outside and the inside, where you'll get to go and grab knowledge from all over the world. And as you go through the museum, you're also going to experience a number of artifacts from all over the world and other museum features that we think people will be very drawn to. As you exit the museum, the theater you see in the background of the image is a 360-degree theater that Jim mentioned was done by Visioneering. These are folks from Disney that will basically allow you to fly over not just Israel, but you'll also be able to fly over other very important parts of the world. You'll exit out into our version of a place to reflect. Some might call it a Wailing Wall, but you can see its influence, and it has a different feel than the rest of the property. You're in the pavilion now, which is surrounded by an amphitheater, where people will be able to sit on the steps and just enjoy being outside. Or you'll see the restaurant that's on the first floor that's in the pavilion building. As you go up the stairs, this is on the opposite side of the globe that you saw in the entry, and this is where the theater is, where the 500-seat theater is, and also this is where the offices are. Lastly, the hotel experience and the hotel welcome. We tried to design a hotel that was very respectful of the realization that Mission Valley doesn't necessarily have an architectural theme, and at some point we need to begin introducing what we think are some critical architectural elements in this site. We talked about view corridors. As Mo said, you're required to have at least 30 feet. We have 117 in this view. On this view, we're supposed to have 30 feet, and we have 92 feet. So we're trying to make it so that the buildings do allow you to participate and see the entire site as best you can. Once again, from an environmental standpoint, we comply fully with the Climate Action Plan. We have solar that will be generating power on site. In addition, all of our Title 24 requirements are reduced by at least 30% from what Title 24 asked for. So this is a very efficient building. I mentioned this concept of how we're surrounding this property into more of a garden-like setting. So we exceed the required coverage for tree canopies in the space. I'm going to go back to that slide again, though, if I can go back. But you can see from this slide, the current site really is almost completely buildings and hardscape. The new site will truly be much more consistent with the hillsides that are there. We are reducing the ADTs. I know that there's some comments about traffic. I'm not sure they're not accurate, because the truth of the matter is the site is allowed to have 380 ADTs. We have 221 ADTs. That's 40% fewer ADTs than are allowed on the site. So we think we're reducing traffic, but we're doing some other things. We're not only putting a sidewalk that goes all the way through the site, a new sheltered bus stop, but we're also going to have a trail along the back side of the site, so people can literally you don't have to go into the buildings. You can just enjoy the site and walk around. And then most importantly, it is true, if you were to drop a building in Mission Valley and not do anything at all about additional lanes, that would be a problem. But we are widening Hotel Circle South so that we will have greater vehicle flow. From a storm drain standpoint, we're upsizing the storm drain, and we're also creating an additional 10,000 square feet of open space. I'm just going to show you this because the previous design that I think was mentioned before had a lot of buildings and didn't have a central core to it. It also had all the parking underground. We're not doing that. We're not disturbing that much of the property. So in this current design, this new design, we've reduced the floor area by 140,000 square feet. And by doing that, we've created much more open space so that the site is more inviting and is actually more open. There's a very big emphasis on pedestrians on the site now. You'll see that green area. This is designed so pedestrians can mosey onto the site and also enjoy gaining access to the different parts of the property as they choose to gain access. And we did that by centralizing the parking and the parking structure that's kind of towards the back of the site. And then that way we gave the property the ability to be much more open. You've seen some of the architectural enhancements already. I wanted to cover this one point as well. In terms of height, the building, I think as you mentioned, Mo mentioned that we are at 65 feet, but you can see how the surrounding neighborhood, the courtyard is taller than our building. So the building has one high elevation, which is the hotel, but the rest of the buildings are in conformance with the current site elevation. I'm just going to show you just a couple of images before I bring Chris up, and it'll give you a sense of what the property looks like that you've already seen. So I'll click this is from the street. That's leaving the parking garage, and this is the hotel. So let me bring Chris up, and Chris has any environmental details that you might ask for. I would just only say before I leave, if you have any questions, please ask us, because we don't want there to be disinformation out there that we could clarify today. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council President Cole and members of the City Council. My name is Chris Morrow. I'm the Senior Vice President and the Director of Planning at Project Design Consultants, and we've been involved with this project since its inception. Am I in charge? All right. So I'm going to go briefly through some of the more technical issues associated with the project, but again, to reiterate, we have been in process for the better part of 3 years. We enjoy a unanimous recommendation from both the Design Advisory Board as well as the full group at the Mission Valley Community Planning Group. We have a unanimous recommendation from your Planning Commission, and we're looking forward to moving forward with this project. In addition, we have no significant unmitigated impacts So the project is in a good place from that perspective. We've gone through that one. I'll try not to be too redundant. We do have several overheight retaining walls. All of the overheight retaining walls are there to preserve and protect the maximum amount of open space that we can. They're also not visible from any public vantage points. We are also going to be reducing trips through the mixed-use nature of this project. We're also providing new sidewalks where none exist today on Hotel Circle South. That will hopefully encourage more and additional pedestrian activity within Mission Valley. We have a variety of transportation demand management measures, which are within your staff report. We also include a private shuttle system, which will, we hope, have a significant reduction in the number of trips to and from the facility. We'll be able to pick people up from major transportation hubs, be it the trolley, the airport, or the train station. We'll also be able to pick people up and deliver them to various attractions such as the zoo, SeaWorld, et cetera, as well as the trolley stops that are just to the north of us. To reduce electrical demands, we have taken the top of our parking structure and provided photovoltaic panels on the top. So that's going to take care of 7% of our energy needs and goes a long way. And again, I'm a planner, so I'm representing all the different disciplines here, so I'm going to go over these particular things, again, at a relatively high level. So we've been able to reduce the trips by 40%. All traffic impacts are fully mitigated. None of them are significant. The project, if we were able to assume the full credits for the previously existing service station and Frogs Fitness Center, would reduce the traffic from what was there by over 1,000 ADT. What we have assumed, though, and in conformance with CEQA, is that those two facilities they've been out of use long enough, so we actually contribute 227 additional net trips, which is a very small amount. So our project improvements, again, as was stated, we're going to double the capacity of Hotel Circle South with an additional lane in each direction. That will hopefully really improve the conditions where the hook ramps are today. We're also going to, through the project, through the adaptive reuse of this site, we're going to upgrade the bus stop, provide the sidewalk where none exists today, and also, as others have mentioned, we'll include an on-site trail system, which in that particular exhibit shows the slope that's on the southern slope, the trail that's on the southern slope. And there'll be interpretive signage there as well, informing the users of the history of Mission Valley. So again, the traffic, from a common sense perspective, we reduce traffic. From a CEQA perspective, we have a net contribution of 277 ADT. Stormwater, we have worked extensively with city staff to make sure that our biofiltration basins handle the stormwater that's on site, and we've been successful in that. We talked about that.
One concluding sentence, because that was your 15.
My concluding sentence would be that this project has no significant unmitigated impacts. It will provide a positive and productive use to Mission Valley, and we've enjoyed the unanimous recommendations of approval from a variety of city bodies. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Continue with in favor speakers at 1.5 minutes apiece. Luis A. Gallupo will be followed by Walter Musial, followed by Pastor Sergio de la Mara. Please come forward when your name is called. There are seats in the front for speakers. Go ahead, sir. You'll have 1.5 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, President Cole, City Council members. I'm their Land Use CEQA Council. My name is Luis Gallupo with Gallupo and Blake. I'm going to talk about one topic and one topic only, and that is the Religious Land Use and Institutions Persons Act. Under this act, there is not supposed to be unreasonable burdens. Our position is that includes the conditions relative to the project. As you've heard already, this is an event and educational project benefiting multiple cultures, multiple people, multiple religions. Our position is that as the project has currently been recommended to council by staff, it does not create any unreasonable burdens or implications under the Religious Land Use and Institutional Persons Act. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Walter Musial. You'll be followed by Pastor Sergio de la Mara, followed by Alistair Kerr. Is Mr. Musial present? Please come forward then. Thank you. Pastor Sergio De La Mora. You'll be followed by Alistair Kerr, followed by Stephen W. Blake.
Good morning, Council. I'm Pastor Sergio De La Mora. I pastor Cornerstone Church of San Diego that has multiple campuses throughout our city. I had the privilege to have worked with Dr. Cirillo for many years. In fact, there was a time when he was in a sickness that I had spoke for his crusades for an entire year. As a local San Diegan, I can respect his vision and his ability to work not only with the city, but also with the faith community. I think what San Diego needs right now is someone that can bring faiths together instead of separating them. I think what San Diego needs now is forward thinking, a facility in the Mission Valley area that speaks to the future. I think too many times we honor the past, but we fail to be ferociously loyal to the future. Next-gen leaders in our community need to know that we serve in a city that is diverse and that is committed to diversity. And I think what Dr. Cirillo is doing at 84 years old is teaching young leaders to keep dreaming. I don't know how many of you would want to dream as large as he's dreaming at 84 and investing this type of money. Honestly, I think it's men like him that we should celebrate, because most people at 84 have no desire to take on a project like this. We need more leaders like this. My generation needs more forward thinkers like this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Alistair Kerr. You'll be followed by Stephen Blake, followed by Bishop Benson. And please come forward. There are 2 seats reserved for speakers in the front. It helps facilitate the speakers. Go ahead, sir. You'll have a minute and a half.
Good afternoon, council members. It's my privilege my name is Alistair Kerr, and I'm here as a church leader in San Diego. And I represent somebody that has a very kind of diverse background, from growing up in Scotland, moving to America and serving, doing Christian work over in Asia in the country of Mongolia. And I just want to say that I absolutely appreciate Dr. Morris Cirillo and the Legacy Center for their embrace of cultures, diversity, languages. As a Christian, I was at one of the recent conferences and just was sitting behind Latinos with their headsets on, following the conference sessions there with Africans who were just jumping up and down and just getting so exuberant and so excited. And I'm so proud to be a San Diegan with the diversity that we have, and to realize that as a Christian, I don't need a journey up to Orange County, our competitor, or Los Angeles, but we're going to have something incredible for the church, faith community here in San Diego, and to bring folks in and have the Christian education and just mobilize just an incredible segment here of our San Diego population. So I'm so excited, and I'm so excited to know that 80-something years old, Dr. Cirillo has really connected all over the world, and he has not been a polarizing figure at all, but he's done an amazing job of just reaching out to different cultures. So I vote yes on the Legacy Center.
Thank you. Stephen W. Blake. Thank you. Bishop Benson. You'll be followed by Bishop George D. McKinney.
Good afternoon, President Cole and City Council. My name is Bishop William A. Benson. I am the presiding pastor of Total Deliverance Worship Center and the president of Pastors on Point, as well as the chairman of the SCD, Southern California District Council, the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World, who house over 4 million members. I and many members of my congregants and colleagues are fully in support of the Legacy International Center. We believe that the Legacy Center encourages people of faith to visit San Diego and celebrate God's love and his message for humanity. We are people of faith. We love God. We love this city, and we love our city council. We believe that the City Council has the right intentions for our city, and we appreciate the hard work and dedication that you have demonstrated on behalf of all of us. However, it is clear that some would try to disallow this from being your responsibility to fairly deliberate on this project. Please remember, this project was overwhelmingly supported by Mission Valley Planning Group and the San Diego Planning Commission. I believe that those who planning and their intentions are correct in supporting this project. The Legacy Project will bring people of faith from all around the world who have never considered visiting San Diego. I am in support of this, that we will be able to increase San Diego's numbers, industrial, and tourism. The Legacy Center will initially bring millions of tourism dollars into San Diego's community. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bishop George D. McKinney. You'll be followed by Fabian Johans, followed by Dorothy Sorde.
Good afternoon, President Cole, and to the members of the council, to this assembly of public servants and citizens. I'm Bishop George McKinney, founding pastor of the St. Stephen's Cathedral Church of God in Christ, and prelate for Southern California for that denomination. I have with me two of my sons, Pastor George McKinney and Pastor Glenn McKinney. They represent the 5 sons whom were born to us, who are now active in the ministry. I'm here to support the Morris Cerullo World Evangelism proposal. I strongly appeal to you to approve the World Evangelism proposal that is presented here today. Morris Cerullo is a longtime resident of San Diego. His organization, World Evangelism, was founded here more than 50 years ago, and its influence has reached every continent on the globe and has been a positive influence on millions who seek truth and righteousness. It has been my privilege to serve as a member of his Board of Elders for more than 50 years. As a member of his Board of Elders, I have attended many of his annual conventions, which thousands of world spiritual leaders gather yearly. For 3 years, I've served as a senior professor at the World Evangelism School of Ministry at the historic El Cortez building. Here, thousands of students from many countries were trained and disciplined to be effective ministers in their homeland. Dr. Cerullo's legacy has been firmly established in the hearts and lives of those who are touched by his ministry. Yet, at the age of 85, I believe he and I are about the same age, he desires to broaden and strengthen that legacy by leading this effort to build a world center for training and equipping pastors, evangelists, missionaries, laymen, and women who will continue his work for future generations. My friends, this well-planned and adequately funded World Center will attract thousands of students and spiritual leaders from around the world each year. Therefore, I urge you to approve this proposal for at least 3 reasons. First, Dr. Cerullo is a spiritual leader with a proven track record, more than 70 years in local and global ministry. Secondly, a favorable vote today will enable Morris Cerullo and its World Evangelism Organization to continue to build its legacy of promoting peace, righteousness, and truth. And third and finally, the proposed World Center will have a significant economic and commercial impact upon San Diego. Therefore, I ask you to approve this proposal. It is good for everyone concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And the extra time that was afforded to the bishop was given to him by his sons, Pastor Glenn McKinney and Pastor George McKinney. Our next speaker, Fabian Johans, followed by Dorothy Surde, followed by Jesse Gippy or Gipe.
Good afternoon, Council President Myrtle Call, council members. My name is Fabian Johannes. I am a businesswoman. My offices are in Mission Valley. I have a 17-year-old daughter that goes to Point Loma High. I live in North Park. That means I cross that area every single day, probably twice a day. I'm in full support of this project for many reasons, but the most important reasons are, I'll consider 4 reasons. The first and foremost is the diversity. I am an Ethiopian American with ties to Africa, multiple countries in Africa. I've been a passionate San Diegan for the past 14 years. We have over 100 languages being spoken in San Diego. There are, tremendous amount of diversity, and yet we don't really see it at the forefront. This is an opportunity for us to actually bring the world to us, to San Diego. And this design, from a design perspective, allows us to create a placemaking that is really, truly a place that not only, brings the world to us, but actually educates our residents as well. There's a lot of gap that exists between folks that live and were born and raised in the U.S. and others that come from other parts of the world. We, in the U.S., feel like a big island. The world is much smaller and much more diverse. And this opportunity allows us to actually bring the world to us and create that opportunity for education as well. So the diversity aspect is really key.
Thank you, ma'am.
The open space allows for people like me, folks...
One concluding sentence, your time is up.
My time is up?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you.
One concluding sentence, though?
All right, so what I would like to say is the vision of the Legacy Project is the vision of tomorrow of San Diego, so I hope that you're going to support it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dorothy Serde. You'll be followed by Jesse Gippy or Gipe.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council President Cole, members of the Council. It's my pleasure to be here today and ask you to vote in favor of the Cirillo project. My position in Mission Valley is a resident, it's a business owner, and I'm chair of the Mission Valley Community Planning Group. I also sit on our design advisory board for Mission Valley, made up of extremely professional, practiced architects who have time and time again reviewed the project. The team of Cirillo has been very compatible to all of our suggestions. The original project doesn't look anything like the one that they have presented today. Or I should say, very, very, very much they have taken all of our suggestions from professional architects that have been in the business for years. The ownership, the management, the dedication of their executives being on the Mission Valley Community Planning Group have been very much appreciated in our community. They are business leaders that are truly trying to create another environment in Mission Valley that will be a positive aspect in our community. I have lived in a number of places throughout the country, and I have to say that I'm very proud to be in Mission Valley, and I would love to see you approve this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Jesse Gippy or Gipe?
Good afternoon, Council President, Council members. On behalf of the San Diego Regional Economic Development Corporation, my name is Jesse Gipe, by the way. Gippy sounds good too, though. I'm here to speak on behalf of our organization to support Legacy International. As an organization that focuses on economic development in this region, this $150 million plus construction project has followed the course that the city and our organizations that work in this community offer for projects moving through the community development, working with the right stakeholders, and now comes before you clearly with a lot of support from the community. We believe that projects like this should be able to move forward, and we certainly believe that having another opportunity for international tourism in a city and in a region as diverse as San Diego is another strength for our community. So with that, I urge your vote and support on behalf of the San Diego EDC. Thank you so much.
Thank you. In addition, Trevor Gerard, Joshua Hughes, Randall Garner, Jenny Lee, Suzanne Ives, Ni Zahn, Zach Noah, and Pastor Dennis Hodges all submitted speaker slips in favor but did not wish to speak. And with that concludes the public speakers on this item.
Thank you. Does the city attorney have any additional comments or questions?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Turning to council member questions and comments, Council Member Sherman.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here, and thank you, staff, for all the work you've put into this. There's been a lot of changes over the course of this project, and I think all for the better, I might have to say. You know, as a council member who represents the district where this center is proposed to be located, I've been following this project very closely, and I just want to say thank you to the Cirillo team for all the accommodations and changes that they've made to it. I think this project is much improved from the starting stages. And I heard some discussion of the people who were against, and they were basically citing two different things mostly. One was the traffic congestion. If I'm reading this right, the number of trips are actually going to be less than what is allowed by the plan. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And they're widening the road by a couple lanes?
One lane in each direction.
One lane in each direction to accommodate any extra trips, but it's still less than what the plan envisioned is allowed. And then secondly, I heard from several that the community was against this, but it has received, as we've heard, unanimous consent from the planning group, the design board, the San Diego planning group. And I wanted to thank also the city attorney for their words of wisdom, I should say, about what we're allowed to base our decisions on and what we're not allowed to base our decisions on. And, yesterday was Constitution Day. And in our country, we are afforded certain rights and privileges, and some of those are the right to free speech, the right to assembly, the right to religious protection. And we're allowed to express those beliefs and rights without fear of reprisal or repercussion from government. And I think that's very appropriate to understand when we're making this decision. We may have disagreements with the applicant. I've had disagreements with other applicants and what they want to do sometimes too. But if they follow the rules, and they follow the law, and they're following the code, and they do everything by the rules that the city sets forward, we can't, nor should we, find against them if they've done everything they're supposed to. I think this plan does everything it's supposed to. There are some height deviations, yeah, but it's still smaller than other buildings that are in the surrounding area, so the height deviation really doesn't come into play too much in my book. And we've made deviations and conditional use permits and all kinds of things all through Mission Valley. That's why we're updating the community plan as we speak, so we can try and get to a more uniformed measure across the board. When it comes to the Atlas plan, can you explain that a little more? Because the Atlas plan, in my humble opinion, really doesn't apply anymore because it's been so chopped up and taken apart down there. Can you kind of go into that a little bit, please?
Sure. And basically, as I explained, it's kind of fallen apart due to the change in ownerships. But Nancy Graham is here from Long Ridge Planning, and she could go into it in as much detail as you'd like.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if I don't think it applies. I don't think it should be applicable in this situation. I just want to make sure everybody understands how it shouldn't be applicable.
Nancy Graham, Senior Planner in the Planning Department assigned to Mission Valley. The Atlas plan was written in the 80s. At the time, the 7 properties were all owned by one property owner, and they sought to do a phased financing plan to redevelop several of those properties. When the property owner went bankrupt and it went to 7 different property owners, it basically made the plan completely infeasible. When this project came forward, we were also starting our community plan update, and we realized keeping a specific plan that we realized would never come to fruition didn't make any sense. So because of that, the planning department directed the applicant to remove themselves from the Atlas specific plan. So the intention is that we could remove each of the properties as the property owner wishes in order to rescind the plan, since we know it will never come to fruition.
Right. And they were doing what we requested at the...
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, and I appreciate that. And, I can't find any reason to not want to approve this project, legally based anyway. So it'd be my pleasure to make the motion to approve staff recommendation. I think it was all 7 of them. And say thank you again for all the time and effort, and look forward to my council's deliberations, and hopefully we'll see this thing get done and start seeing some of the benefits that the project like this could give to San Diego. So thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Councilmember Ward.
Thank you, Council President Cole, and I certainly appreciate the comments of my colleague, Councilman Sherman. I know we had a chance earlier today to talk a little bit about what was coming up here in concept, but this is in the Mission Valley Plan area. It's immediately adjacent to the Uptown Community Planning area, and I also want to thank the project team for running that by my community plan area as well. I think we heard a lot of concerns coming from members of that community planning group about the traffic impacts, and particularly the access and the constraints along Bachman Drive, potential threat to the I think continued success of the level 1 trauma centers that we have just directly up the hill, and any additional impact I think that we have at this particular area. We certainly witnessed that last week with the geyser and the sinkhole that became a major temporary disaster, but removing that one little, I think, opportunity for circulation just had gross impacts across the region, really trapped people, I think, in the Point Loma area for a while. And so I had a chance to go through some of the land use and some of the analyses, and I guess I just arrive at a different conclusion. Although I recognize the project proponents had done their best to try and mitigate for many of the impacts, and did come back with some revisions in their proposal. The resolution that we have before us today really asks us to acknowledge that there are additional public benefits to the community, that the facilities on site would serve the proposed increase in density and intensity, and that we're accurately implementing most of our general plan and other community plan goals. And when I think about the need for affordable housing, I mentioned that this site borders Uptown, but one thing we did not do in our Uptown community plan update was touch 2 parcels that are on our side of the plan area, but only are accessed from the Mission Valley site through this property. And in part, we didn't want to change that, although there was an opportunity there for high intensity residential development. It was really consistent on what happened here on this parcel. And so with housing being our biggest issue facing the San Diego region right now, I just regret that that's not I think adequately a part of any development proposal here. Some of the imagery that was presented here I don't think actually reflected the surrounding landscape. So it's I think a well-intentioned project, but it's just might be not the right location. I know you examined some other alternative sites, and I think without a whole lot of analysis or comment, kind of ruled those inferior to your preferred site, whether we looked at a Midway site or one off of Pomerado Road. Again, I think that for this particular use, and it's not just the traffic impacts that I think are analyzed and smoothed out over time, but when I think about the right to the assembling that will come on to this property from time to time, that will draw in a major peak, a major influx of drivers on site. I just think that those, incidences that are going to affect everyday San Diegans trying to get around this area are really, really going to be deleterious. City, the alignment with our city strategic plan and goals, again, for me, just doesn't add up. That, somehow this project works in partnership with all of our communities to achieve safe and livable neighborhoods, and then to achieve the objective of creating dynamic neighborhoods that incorporate mobility, connectivity, and sustainability is just not here for me. And then, to shoehorn in some arguments about how this achieves our climate action plan, I'll acknowledge and, thank the inclusion of a lot of energy and hopefully water efficiency elements to the project. But, the fact that it just happens to be located near a transit stop, I just think functionally, I don't see a lot of people taking the trolley from so far away to, traverse the sidewalks under the freeway to be able to access the site. And I think for all that you're trying to do in your proposed traffic, your TDM program, that it's really not going to get people to be able to utilize the site in any other way other than car. And that sort of leads us all back to the traffic impacts. When I see, in the EIR, some of the existing tables, I know technically it can be reduced, quote, to a level under significance, but there still is actually an increase in your own analysis in the actual traffic impacts, both on segments and at the impacts to surrounding intersections. So for all of those reasons, I'll be opposing the project today, but were this to move forward, I wish you the best in trying to mitigate these impacts, because San Diegans certainly could use that attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Zapp.
Thank you. Well, I'm just kind of surprised to hear those comments that my colleague just had, given that we just heard that the traffic is actually going to be less than it is right now, and that there will be shuttles provided to cut down on traffic to the trolley stops and to the major visitor centers. And I just don't understand this part about traffic in Hillcrest and at UCSD. I mean, except as the crow flies, they're nowhere near there. I mean, it's way up on the hill. And yeah, if a bird flies over, you can drop down into the valley, but it's not going to impact traffic at all in Hillcrest or UCSD. I mean, all these things were taken into consideration. Sorry, I'm like a little kind of surprised here. And, you know, to make comments like somebody did, like if there's 3 times the amount of traffic of Comic-Con, well, that's like a 3 or 4 day period. We're talking over the entire year. And so there's no connection there whatsoever. So to come up here and say it's a bad deal for traffic near Hillcrest or UCSD, the facts don't bear that out one bit. And somebody else said this is controversial. I know controversial. I've been here for years. This is not controversial. I hadn't had anybody who has contacted me about this. And believe me, if it was controversial, my phone and my emails and everything would be going off. So there's no controversy. In fact, the actual people who are part of the actual planning group who live there, some of them came up here, they live there, they have businesses there. They voted 14-0 and 2 abstentions to recommend approval of the project with no conditions, and then unanimous approval of the Planning Commission. And all of these things were, you know, of traffic and everything was all taken into account. So to be honest, the comments that I heard were clearly religious-based, clearly. And I think, you know, to try to make a connection, you know, is such a contortion, you know, on the facts, you know, that were presented. I think that it's, you know, well, Mr. Kitchen, of course, he was the one who was just right out there. And, you know, I applaud you for that because you were completely transparent. But, you know, I understand that. But there was a lot of others that I think that it was clear that that was the same reason. And that is not a reason in this country of free speech and to not have a faith-based project and try and fit in some land use reasons to undermine it. This project has been around since I've been on the council, and you're right. Somebody said that the design was very different. It is very different from when I first saw it years ago. And I think it was a Roman theme or something like, yeah, they're nodding, yes, I remembered. Yeah, it was like a Roman theme, and I thought that was pretty cool. But clearly the community wanted something different, and the community is getting what they wanted. And so I applaud you for working with the community. It looks beautiful, and obviously I'm in support of this, and wish you well. Pastors all, thank you for coming out, and really nice to see you again. And thank you for taking the time to advocate for an important project and free speech. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gomez.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, staff, and thank you to the public for coming and expressing your views. Really appreciate it. I had a couple of questions in relation to the traffic and trip generated, even though it seems like there seems to be a theme of there's no impacts. I'm still not there. I do have questions about it, just in relation to the calculations. Trip generated. What are the impacts associated with the traffic and parking? I noted that the overall project will only create the 221 gross trips per acre. That's what we concluded, right?
Right. I think, is it 221 or 224? Yeah.
Yeah.
221, I think.
221, I believe. So I saw the one of the sheets, and where I had some questions were around some of the areas that this is where it's not adding up, and I hope that you can walk me through it. In terms of what's being proposed, there's a proposal of 500 seats for the theater. There's also the wellness center and the hotel factored. How did all of that factor into the trips generated?
Yes, Leo Allo is here from Transportation to talk about the trip generation.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Leo Allo, Associate Traffic Engineer with Development Services. Yes, all All trips for the primary traffic generating uses for the site were accounted for. This is such as the hotel and commercial offices. So we were counting all of those trips. When it comes to the secondary uses, you mentioned the theater. That was we were taking a percentage of what the external trips for those uses are expected to be. So when you have visitors going to the hotel, it's expected they're also going to eat at the restaurant, go to the theater. So we're not counting it all as external trips.
Okay. And do we normally do that? A percentage? The reason being is that, just as an example, the theater, there's 450 seats, and we only calculated 20%. And looking at the spa and fitness, there's 50%, while the Frogs Health Club in previous years, we calculated 100%.
Yes. Well, with the theater, this was a discussion that happened between staff and the applicant to come up with a percentage that made sense. Usually for accessory uses, if it's, again, like a cafe or a theater that's only targeted towards people who are already going to the site, again, these percentages are what was acceptable based on the discussions with staff.
Okay. And then just curious, because we've been trying to look for it, currently, how many parking spaces are there?
You're asking for existing on site?
Yes.
Or, 1 second. Oh, I don't have that information right now.
No one does? Applicant? Okay. Okay.
I think we can come up with that number.
Okay. I'm only asking because according to the description, the proposed parking is to exceed the minimum. Am I reading this correctly?
Yes. Well, we did a parking analysis, which determined that based on all of the uses and the peak demand, we had a minimum, which would be the 524 parking spaces. However, they're going to be providing anywhere between the minimum 524 and the 659. The difference comes from the parking garage.
Okay.
That could be bigger or smaller.
So if I understand that correctly, though, there will be more parking.
Yes, they will be exceeding the minimum requirement.
Okay. So this is where I need your help. We're saying that we're going to exceed parking, meaning we're projecting that there will be more cars coming in, but yet our conclusion is that there's no unmitigated impacts to traffic.
Well, the parking, the minimum is just the minimum required per the code. So they actually cannot go below the minimum requirement. There is also a maximum requirement which they are not hitting. So they're targeting a range between the 524 and 659, which, again, they wouldn't be able to go below the minimum based on the requirements of the site.
Okay.
But Councilmember Gomez, I don't think the assumption is that there would be more traffic due to the fact that they're providing or could potentially provide more than what's required to be overparked.
Okay. And then just one last question in regards to, I think I was trying to look at for some information, but there was mentioning to improvements to the bus station.
Yes, they're permit condition that they have to improve the bus stop with a structure, shelter. There was some discussion about it being a tree instead, but no, we required that it be a hard structure at the bus stop to provide that facility for the project.
And are we in communications with MTS? And I'm only asking this because, and I'm not sure if it's correct or not, but right now we are reviewing some routes, and if I was trying to get confirmation, so I'm not sure. But I think this Route 88, which is the one that goes through there, is being proposed to be cut. So if we're making, if we're putting an investment on this bus stop, I would highly encourage us to reach out to MTS because it might not be needed.
So permit condition 68 is the one that's requiring the shelter and concrete bus pads, seating, lighting, and any other amenities in coordination with MTS.
Okay.
So they will be coordinating with them, and if that station is no longer going to be there, then they would know about that.
Okay, so are they
We
getting?
hope it doesn't. We hope it stays.
Well, yeah. Are they getting any credits for that in terms of mitigations are concerned, in terms of improving?
Not that I know of. It's just
So this is in addition to.
it's something that we felt strongly about.
Okay, thank you. Just overall, since my time is done, definitely I still have some other issues, even related to the height deviation and the retention wall. There was mentioning during the presentation that the surrounding area wouldn't be impacted, but I would argue that by doing the retention wall, you would need to do some gradation, some digging to be able to do that. So you are disturbing the area overall. And I'm still definitely still concerned about the fire aspect of this area, in terms of being that this area has a high fire hazard zone according to our documents. So seeing the design of it, I'm concerned about that. I have some other comments, but I'll just leave it at that. Just overall, I'm not in support of the request. I am just beyond this project, I am concerned that we're starting to spot zone in this area. I know that we are in the process of updating the community plan. I don't know what the timing of this is, and I would highly encourage us to try to speedy up that process, just because it seems like there's major projects coming our way, and I would love to see what the impact holistically would be. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Alvarez.
Thank you. Any chance anybody has a number on the current parking spots? Oh, okay. All right. Then I will keep on going. To the issue of the 20% that was used as an allocated amount for the theater, are there permit requirements so that only 1/5 of the time this would be used for events that are not intended for patrons of the location?
Currently, there's no requirement. Really, that 20% is meant that only about 20% of the traffic expected from the theater is going to be external. So people who are not staying at the hotel, or also that they're not going to the other.
I understand that, but that would be an appropriate expectation to have if there's a sort of either commitment or permit requirement that, events aren't just promoted to the general public on a regular basis. I understand, I think in the EIR you referred to it as the attraction rate. I guess each one of these has a different rate of traffic trip generation, and so that would be an appropriate number from my standpoint. If we had certainty that would be a percentage that we could actually allocate. And I don't know that do we have evidence that would be the case? Do we have limitations on the use of the facility to ensure that?
Maybe the applicant can tell us a bit more about what the theater is going to be used as.
Appreciate that. If you can, and you'd like to share something about that. I also just want to factually, it's actually in the EIR, this is 277 additional ADTs this is on page 4.2-9. So there are additional ADTs, just factually. A lot of things have been said, but cumulative additional ADTs is 277. So, but I'm interested. Can somebody answer the question I had earlier about the allocation on the theater? My time is running, so I'd appreciate a quick response.
Quickly. From a practical standpoint, when you're living with a document called CEQA, you're following these guidelines. One of the things we found early on when we bought the property, we thought this entitlement process would take, maybe 6 months. So we closed Frog's Fitness. The building's still standing there. We could reopen it. But when we closed it, what we didn't realize was all the traffic that was associated with Frog's goes away from CEQA's perspective. We took out the gas station for environmental reasons because we thought it'd be a good idea to get rid of those gas tanks. We took out the gas station. We took out a lot of trips that would have been allowed under CEQA. So when you talk about being 277 over or having 20% for this or that, we're not even counting under CEQA all the trips that were associated on the site before with the gas station and Frog's, which would have been 1,000 more ADTs per day on our site. So when you talk about limiting it based on the document, from that standpoint, we'd just go reopen frogs to get those traffic counts back. You know what I'm saying? From a practical standpoint, that's maybe that addresses
you have that option, but it's our obligation to determine whether your mitigation, as required by CEQA, is appropriate or not, or whatever decision you choose. Right. And so, at this point, you believe it is your intent that 20% of the use of the theater, essentially the traffic generated by the use of the theater, would be from outside of individuals who don't stay at this facility.
Yeah, it's a holistic center where you're staying at the hotel, you're utilizing the training center. The 500-seat theater is a big part of that training facility. You're utilizing the banquet facilities, the restaurants. It's all mingled together meant to be, kind of in commercial terms, a live-work environment. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of what it's meant for.
I get that. I'm not being clear in my question. If only 20% of the traffic, if you are only allocating a 20% number of the traffic generated as a result of non-facility induced activity at the theater, what is that guarantee to the community and the impact that will be the case?
Maybe a question. Maybe Vince can answer that because I'm not sure, or Chris. I'll let the engineer talk to that.
Chris Morrow, planner, not an engineer. 320 is the magic number for the existing parking spaces today, based on the count that we just did. In terms, if I understand your query correctly, it's if 20% of the trips are allocated to outside external users who come there specifically for an event at the theater, is there some accommodation or condition put in place today that restricts the use of the theater for outside entities to 20% of the time?
Right, or to ensure that you get to that 20% in some way, shape, or form.
Today, there is no condition that specifically addresses that because we've evaluated the entire site as we would any mixed-use site, work with city staff to come up with the appropriate ratios.
Okay. So the question maybe to staff or city attorney's office, if at some point this theater or any of these other uses associated with the facility actually create additional trips as a result of, let's say they decide that the theater is going to be used more often for maybe not the current ownership, but they sell it to somebody else, a regular theater to show performances on a daily or 5 times a week basis, wouldn't that increase the traffic generation and therefore the mitigation that's being requested today won't really be sufficient?
Potentially, yes. If the site is going to be used for like a movie theater at some point in the future, that could affect traffic in the area. However, with the size of the theater, it's 100 seats. We're not expecting that to be a huge impact.
That's 450 seats.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's apologies, 500 seats. So.
Yeah.
Councilmember, in addition to that, I believe that the movie theater, a standard movie theater, would require conditional use permit. This permit would probably need to be amended and come through the discretionary process for that. So it's a significant change in use.
I will end with this, given that I appreciate the time given by somebody and by the council president. I think in San Diego in general, and certainly in Mission Valley, we sometimes tell the public one thing and then something totally different happens. And so as I am now trying to think of the future, and this is the project before us today, and if there are guarantees that this is the project that would be there long term and that the increase specifically in traffic would not occur and the trip generation would not occur as a result of a change in uses, and that's one thing. But I'm not hearing those guarantees today at all. And so without those guarantees, it makes it difficult for me to say, maybe you all with the project won't be around for the next 20 years because you decide to sell. But this vote, for those of us that will be around in San Diego in the next 20 years, we'll come back and say, well, why did you approve that without the parameters to ensure that what you approved is what you got, and the trips that were generated are essentially the trips that were actually created. That's all I would want to ask for in this project, and I don't see that today. And I know my time is up, but if the council president would like you to speak. Okay.
Just to, again, Chris Morrow, just to correct the record, there is a conditional use permit in place today for the 500-seat religious theater. So you, as a city council, as city staff, have the full ability to monitor and regulate that use and bring the CUP back if there are issues associated with it. So there is a discretionary permit as part of this package, specific to the theater.
I think for an investment, thank you. I think for an investment of this side, and I'm sorry we didn't have a chance to actually have this conversation more thoroughly. It's rushed here. I would have liked to have seen some commitment, especially with an investment of this magnitude, to ensure that these protections were in place for the community long term. That would have been, I think, appropriate action to take. And so it's a shame that we didn't have that extra time. Thank you.
Thank you. So we do have a motion by council members. Oh, sorry, Pro Tem. Pro Tem Kersey's on the lights.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to get clarification from staff. Is it staff's position then, based on everything we've heard and everything we've seen in the EIR, that the project in front of us meets the minimums of both parking and ADTs generated?
That's correct. There are no unmitigated traffic impacts associated with the project.
Okay, thank you. Based on that and the fact that the project in front of us is clearly an upgrade over what's there today and it meets the requirements, I think we have to support this project.
Okay, anyone else like to get on the lights? All right. We have a motion by Councilmember Sherman that I believe was seconded by Councilmember Kate. Please vote. Clerk, please call the roll.
And that fails with 4 council members voting yes. Councilmember Zapf, Council President Pro Tem Kersey, Councilmember Kate, and Councilmember Sherman, and 5 council members voting no. Council President Cole, Councilmember Bree, Councilmember Ward, Councilmember Alvarez, and Councilmember Gomez.
Because that fails, we're going to turn to our city attorney.
Thank you. Because that was a motion to approve the requested actions, I'm going to read from the applicable portion of the Muni Code, which says, for a failure of an item to receive sufficient votes, this is the procedure, the failure of a motion to obtain a majority or supermajority vote as required means no action has been taken. Therefore, the agenda item or staff recommendation is not yet approved or denied. The chair shall call for alternative motions. Alternative motions may include a motion to continue. And if there are no further motions, then it's not approved.
Thank you, Councilmember Sherman.
Can I ask you a question of the applicant?
Yes.
On the assurances that the council member Alvarez is looking for on the theater, would you be willing to entertain that at this point?
Yes, and if I understand it right, Councilman Alvarez, what you're asking for is, in the event we were to exceed the difference between the 277, I believe the additional ADTs, and the 380, which is allowable, that we would have to come back to the council for that approval, so that you can have that guarantee. Is that what you're asking for?
I would just say I'm not going to commit to that at this point. I think we do need to discuss that for sure. And the table that has the percentage of allocation for the different uses, I would like to review that with you if you're interested. But I'm not ready to vote on an alternative motion at this time. It requires more time.
Yes, the answer is yes, Councilman Sherman, that we'd be open to that.
Well, since I tried to give the council member what he requested and he doesn't want to take it, I guess I'll just ask for continuance.
Can I just reply to that? With the limited time, that was the one aspect of this project I could focus on. The applicant, I think, recognizes that there's different allocations. A model was used to allocate those trips generated to the different uses, and I think they know exactly what I'm talking about, and those are the uses. Those are the issues that are a concern of mine, and if you want to have that discussion, I'm happy to have that.
So we have a motion by Councilmember Sherman to continue. Do I have a second? We have a second by Councilmember Kate. Please vote. Hold on 1 second, please.
Do you have a date certain?
October the 17th, I'm hearing. Is that correct? Is the next council meeting, October the 17th is okay with everyone? All righty, then we are going to continue this to October. Well, that's the motion. to continue this to October the 17th. Please vote. Clerk, please call the roll.
And that passes unanimously.
Thank you. I think. We're going to now take up a non-agenda public comment, so please exit quietly. Clerk, please proceed.
Yes, per the San Diego Municipal Code, non-agenda public comment is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that are not on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. The time is limited to 2 minutes per speaker and 16 minutes per group of 8 or more speakers on the same subject. We only have 2 speakers this afternoon. Ms. Welch, you're our first speaker. If you want to make your way to the front, you'll be followed by Bob Kazuski.
Martha Welch, trained by the Park Department mostly. I had a friend who made a supervisor, so I know how the parks work. I know what happens right now. You know what happens on Horton Pallet? They have a fence by the Marlboro. Why? Seating or what? No bathrooms or what? Now, the math for the police doesn't work up. If you have academy, there's 100 people, but every year it goes down, so I don't think we have that. Also, you only have 13,000, 10,000. That's low because the average is 30, so you're down there with police also. Now, JN14, Javins ends right there. You know how much the building ended up? This 3 inches. Who does this? Who's the inspector? Do you have inspectors or something? Who approves this? You can't. There's rooms that face that building. 3 inches. How can you do that? That's worse than the other ones. They're at least 3 feet. This is who's the inspectors? I don't think you have inspectors to do this. Who approves these projects? Who does this? Who does this? We have L's. Park 3083 Park has an L, but there's 3 feet. On Beach Street has 3 feet, but this is only 3 inches. Who does it? Who approves this? I want to know. This is wrong what you do. And also the tent, not to December, and the same tent we've had for years and years before, 2 years. Did that work before? I don't think so. So now the same people do the same tents that didn't work before?
Bob Kazuski.
I'd like to talk about a solution for the Torrey Pines glider port. First, I'm going to give you a little bit of my aeronautical background. In 1981, I worked at the wind tunnel. In 82, it says 92, it's actually 82, White Sands Missile Range. Obtained my Bachelor of Science degree in Aeronautical Engineering in 1983. Came to work for General Dynamics in San Diego in 83. Went on to work for TRW Space and Defense, Grumman, Northrop Grumman, all here in San Diego. This is my flight-related background. In 1976, I graduated through the U.S. Army Jump School. 78, obtained my private pilot's license. Flew my first hang gliding flight that year. In 1980, I got a seaplane rating. 1990, I made my first paragliding flights, and in 2005 and 2006, I obtained my advanced hang gliding and paragliding ratings. On April 21st of 2007, I became the first person, believed to still be the only person, to fly all 4 glider types that can fly at the Torrey Pines glider port. I have had a perfect safety record flying at Torrey Pines since 2005. This is a letter from the Dockweiler manager from April 6th of this year, 2017. He writes, to whom it may concern, he, Bob Kazuski, has to date been what I would call a model participant at the site, as well as a good ambassador for the sport, the concessionaire, and the County of Los Angeles. I am hopeful that Mr. Kazuski and the County of Los Angeles can resolve the insurance issues that prevent me from allowing him to fly a hang glider at Dockweiler Beach, respectively Joe Greblo, manager, Dockweiler Beach Hang Gliding. The Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors did take testimony on that subject, and they did come up with a waiver that has allowed me and others to fly at Dockweiler Beach without having to be a member of USHPA. We've been flying there ever since. That was just this spring. Yet I have not been able to fly at Torrey Pines in the last 3 years. I cannot fly at Torrey Pines because of my testimony in court and because of my testimony before this city council, my speeches to this city council. Councilmember Bree, this is a problem in your district. You yourself have proposed a solution, and it's the same solution that the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors has already approved. I ask you to please implement it. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes non-agenda public comment this afternoon.
We have no adjournments in memory. We will now adjourn council to the next regular scheduled council meeting on Tuesday, September the 19th, 2017 at 10 o'clock a.m. We are adjourned.